Hey guys, this is Miss Mendoza. Hey, sorry I'm not in class today. I was hoping to do this lesson with you on Monday, but since we had a snow day, I wasn't able to. And I think it's a pretty complicated lesson that you can't just copy the notes. So I thought I would do a screencast. I hope you guys watch it so you guys can solve these problems a lot easier. Let's start with the bell ringer. It wants me to find the area of this trapezoid. So it tells me that it's 1/2 the height, base 1 plus base 2. So I happen to have right here a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And if you remember, on Friday, we learned all about a 45, 45, 90 triangle. You can draw a similar 45, 90, 45, 90 triangle. If you remember, this is 45, 45. And we discovered that the legs were x and the hypotenuse was x squared root of 2. Oops, not 3, 2. So, well, knowing that the hypotenuse is 12 squared root of 2, well, it's technically pretty easy to figure out that the legs are 12. But if you couldn't figure that out, you can definitely put x squared root of 2 equals 12 squared root of 2. And if I divide both sides by the square root of 2, x equals 12. So this height is 12. That means that this height would also be 12. Now I need to find this piece right here of this triangle. I'm going to call that y, and then I'm going to use Pythagorean theorem, y squared plus 12 squared equals 15 squared, to figure out what y is. Y squared equals 144, 225, oops, that's a plus. Y squared equals 81, so y equals 9. So this piece right here is 9. This piece identical to the top one, so that's 30. So all of that together is 51 units. So to find the area, I'm just going to use this formula. Area equals 1/2. I know we figured out that the height was 12. 30 plus 51. So the area turns out to be, I already did it. It's, I put it in my handy dandy calculator. And let me get my notes. It turns out to be 486 units squared. All right, this 45, 45, 90 triangle is pretty straightforward, but what happens if they doesn't give me something as easy and straightforward as this one? That's where the notes come in. Here we go. So we're going to start with 30, 60, 90. We're going to do 2 examples of 30, 60, 90 triangle. And then we'll do 2 examples of a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Okay, so it says it hits me a 30, 60, 90 where t is 60. So that means this has to be 30. And it wants me to find TU and TV. So I'm going to draw a similar triangle to it. 60. Oop, that's too small. So this is 60 and this is 30. So if you remember the relationship, the short leg is x, the long leg is x squared root of 3, and the hypotenuse is 2x. So if you notice, UV corresponds to x squared root of 3. So to solve for x, I just have to do x squared root of 3 equals 6. I could divide both sides by the square root of 3, but it gets kind of tricky because that gives me a radical at the bottom. So in order to make this simpler, I'm going to multiply both sides by the square root of 3. Well, I know that the square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is square root of 9, and the square root of 9 is 3. So this just leaves me here with 3x. And this is 6 squared root of 3. So I'm just going to divide both sides by 3. So x gives me 2 square root of 3. So TU, yeah, is 2 square root of 3 units. Oh, inches. Inches. And TV, well, TV is 2x. So if x is 2 square root of 3, then all I have to do is multiply that by 2. So TV is 4 square root of 3 inches. What do you guys think? Not too bad? Let's try one more. 30, 60, 90. So you have another 30, 60, 90. It tells me that U is 30 degrees. So that means this is 60. I like to draw an identical, well, not identical, but similar triangle to it. 30. Ooh, that's too small. Keep drawing them too small. 30, 60. And so if you remember, the short leg is x, the long leg is x squared root of 3, and the hypotenuse is 2x. So TU is corresponding to x. So I know x is 5 square root of 3. Well, if I want to find VU, well, VU would be x times the square root of 3. So x is 5 square root of 3 times square root of 3. That gives me 5. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is square root of 9 times 3. So VU is 15. So this is 15 inches. And VT is 2 times x. Well, x is 5 square root of 3, so it's 2 times 5 square root of 3. So VT is 10, what am I doing? VT is 10 square root of 3 inches. All right, so the key is to figure out which side they give you and what's the corresponding side of its similar triangle that we learned about on Friday. Let's try a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So here we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. It wants me to find the area. Well, I know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. I don't know the base or the height. Here's my right angle. So let's find those. So I'm going to draw a similar 45, 45, 90 triangle. And I know the rule is x, x, x squared root of 2. So if you notice, the hypotenuse corresponds to x squared root of 2. So x squared root of 2 is 14. I could divide both sides by the square root of 2, but again, like I told you, it gets kind of tricky having a radical in the decimal. So I'm actually going to multiply both sides by the square root of 2. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is 2, so that gives me 2x equals 14 square root of 2. So then I'm just going to divide both sides by 2, so x is 7 square root of 2. So now I can find the area. My base is 7 square root of 2, and my height is 7 square root of 2. So my area is 1/2 7 square root of 2 times 7 square root of 2. So my area is 1/2. 7 times 7 is 49. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is square root of 4, and the square root of 4 is 2. 1/2 of 2 is 1, so area is 49 units squared. All right, again, the key is to identify what's the side given corresponds to what side in your 45, 45, 90 triangle. One more. So here I have another 45, 45, 90 triangle, but this time they give me the leg. So I'm going to redraw this. 5 square root of 2. And I know it's a 45, 45, 90 because 90, they have to equal 180, so this has to be 45 and 45, all right? So I know this is 5 square root of 2 because they're congruent. Oops, that's not what I want to do. I want to use x, apologies. X squared root of 2, x squared root of 2. Miss Mendoza, you're losing it. X, x, x squared root of 2. The hypotenuse is x squared root of 2. So the legs are x, the hypotenuse is x squared root of 2. So I know that the leg they give me corresponds to x. So I know x equals 5 square root of 2. So then I know that RS, because they're congruent, is also 5 square root of 2. But now I want to figure the hypotenuse. Well, the hypotenuse is x squared root of 2. So RT is x, which is 5 square root of 2, times square root of 2. So RT is 5. Square root of 2 times square root of 2 is 4. And the square root of 4 is 2. So it's 5 times 2. So RT is 10. So I'm going to find the perimeter, and I am going to leave it in simplified radical form. So the perimeter is 5 square root of 2 plus 5 square root of 2 plus 10. I'm going to combine my like terms. 5 square root of 2 plus 5 square root of 2 is 10 square root of 2 plus 10, and that's going to be in units. All right. So the key again is to figure out what side they give you and where does it correspond to the similar triangle that we learned about on Friday. All right, we're going to do one more together, and then I'm going to give you the answers. So you try first before you go to the website, to the classroom, to Google Classroom to check your answers and check the work, okay? But let's try this one. It says, given the trapezoid where DC is parallel to AB, and it tells you that AB is equal to AD, which is 4, which is already labeled. It tells you angle A is 60 and angle C is 45. And it wants me to find BC. So it wants me to find this baby right here. Okay. Well, it looks like I can't really solve it, but we do have some special triangles that we can create within the trapezoid. So I'm going to start here. And you notice this is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I just brought down a height. So I remember 30, 60, 90 triangle, 60, 30. This is x, x square root of 3, and 2x. Well, they give me the hypotenuse. Let's change the color. Let's do this color. They give me the hypotenuse, and I know that the hypotenuse is 2x. So I know I have to find x. So 2x equals 4, so x equals 2. So that means this is 2. And then you remember the long leg, or the leg opposite 60, is x squared root of 3. So all I have to do is do 2 square root of 3. What do you guys think about that? Not too bad so far. So now I bring another height right here. This is also 2 square root of 3. And right here, I happen to have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I mean, not 30, 45, 45, 90 triangle. So here's 45, 90. This is x, x, x squared root of 2. And you notice they give me this leg, which is 2 squared root of 2. So I really used a different letter. I should use y or something because I already used x. So this doesn't really matter. But x equals 2 square root of 3. So that means that the hypotenuse is x times the square root of 2. So BC is going to be 2 square root of 3 times square root of 2, because this is x right here. So BC is 4 square root of 3. No, 4 square root of, what am I thinking? 2 square root of 6, because I only want to multiply 3 times 2, because those are underneath the radical. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so you're going to use 30, 60, 90 triangles. They're not going to be as straightforward as Friday's homework, but they're not too difficult as long as you can figure out which side they give you and what side it corresponds to in the 30, 60, 90 or 45, 45, 90. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you did this one right, your x should equal 16 squared root of 2. And if you do this one right, the length of the side should be 14 square root of 3. And I'll just give you a little hint. It tells you that's the altitude, and that is 21. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you on Thursday. I might do another screencast for tomorrow. We'll see how this one worked out. All right, have a nice day. See ya.